Hello and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. I know I say this every month, but I truly cannot believe that it's the end of the month already. It's the end of July. We're almost in August. It's crazy to me. I feel like this year is flying by so quickly, and I don't know if I'm okay with that, but July was a crazy one. I feel like I wasn't really here in the plant room as much as I wanted to be. I am doing my best. I feel like I'm playing catch up in here just from being gone, and I have plants that need attention because I was gone for a week and I'm catching up, but there are still plants in here that are making me smile. The cats are loving the plant room. Nutmeg is actually spending a lot more time in here. He wasn't spending a lot of time in here over the winter and spring, but he and Luna hang out in here quite a bit now, so I'm very happy for him that he's hanging out with me while I'm doing plant chores or even on his own while I'm off working. So it's just getting back to a normal routine in the room, but there are plants that are really making me happy and I want to highlight those. I picked, I think, a good variety this month, ones that I maybe haven't shown off in a little while, but I love them all the same. And of course, I'm going to start off with a Hoya, and that is going to be my Hoya Dr. Ibok. It stands for Dr. Ibok, and I just think that that's adorable. I don't know, it's a really cute name. So that is the reason why I purchased this plant in the first place. It might not look like it, but it is a cross between Hoya viola and Illegiorum, if I pronounced that correctly. Probably not. But I did recently notice I have had this on my windowsill. I have a really big floor-to-ceiling window in this room, and I put it on the windowsill quite a long time ago. But this month I finally repotted it into this nice 4-inch, much bigger pot. It was in a very tiny propagation cup for way too long, but I hadn't looked at the leaves that were directly facing the window. And as you can see, they have very much sun stressed. So this is what the leaves look like when they're not sun stressed, and they have sun stressed quite a bit. Now, I'm not as much of a fan of the sun stress when it's red like this with like green veins. It's not my favorite thing in the whole world. I actually don't like most sun stress on Hoyas, but I'm really happy that this plant is doing so well. I can always get rid of this by moving it off of the window if I really want to, but it is a really nice plant, so I'm not gonna be mad at it for sun stressing and growing really well. I'm just happy overall with the progress that I've made with this plant over the years. When I originally bought it, it was a 2-node unrooted cutting. I now have it separated into 4 separate plants. I think there's 3 plants here and 1 over here. So I've gotten quite a lot of growth off of it. It is not currently actively growing anywhere. It was here and then I left for a week and it dried out. So the growth point died. But other than that, it is doing very well in my care. It's a very easygoing Hoya, not one that I see around very often, and that is another reason why I love it. It's just a very underrated Hoya. It is simple, but I really like it. Occasionally, I've gotten a leaf with a tiny bit of splash, but it is hidden. This one has like a little bit of splash on it, and this one does too. So maybe if I paid attention to it more, I could get more splash out of it, perhaps, but either way, it's just a really nice plant, and I'm happy that a lot of the plants that I got as small cuttings are starting to turn into full-fledged plants. I think I've been collecting Hoya long enough that it's about time my Hoya start to reflect that I've had them for years, so it's just a big triumph for me, and that's why I wanted to include it this month. The next plant I picked is truly a triumph because I was starting to get really mad at it. You all know, if you saw my video last year at the Texas Aroid Show, I bought my first variegated Scindapsis, and that was the Scindapsis mayari. I have had that since the end of October with no growth, no signs of life. It just sat around doing nothing. And I was like, I spent a lot of money on this plant for it to do nothing. But finally, I was about to repot it. I was talking with one of my friends that collects Scindapsis, and she was telling me, just repot it. It's clearly not happy in the medium. And I went to grab it to repot it, and we have growth. So I guess I'm holding off on repotting, but I'm just very happy that this plant is doing something. It was very frustrating because I love it. I love Scindapsis. I love variegated Scindapsis. I really want to collect more. That is one of my goals for my plant collection in general, actually, is to have more cuties like this one. But it's finally growing, so I can be happy about that. There's really not too much else to say. I have it with this holographic cup just for drainage purposes. Eventually, I would like to repot it in a nicer looking situation than this. I realize this is not the best looking setup, but I have given it fertilizer. It's got some fertilizer beads hanging out in there still, and I'm really hoping this next leaf is a pretty one. If it's not, I'm gonna be so upset. But fingers crossed, both of these leaves have nice variegation on them, so hopefully we get the new leaf soon. I know this next plant is a bit of a common plant, but I feel like common plants deserve as much love as the rare or uncommon ones or expensive ones. And this is going to be my Glacier pothos. Now, I realized that Glacier pothos might not actually be a cultivar. It's still up in the air to me, having owned a Glacier here as well as a Pearls and Jade and Enjoy, but I'm really liking how this plant is doing. No, it is not perfect. It has a little bit of sunburn on some of these leaves, but it is filling out really nicely. I love how much it's been trailing. I also bought this as an unrooted cutting, a single cutting, and now I have two different plants trailing here. This one is wrapped around actually the pot a little bit, so it is rooted all along this stem, which is really nice. It keeps the leaves bigger, so you can see the leaves are much bigger up here than they are at the bottom here. But it looks really full from the top because it's all rooted in there, and I just love that look. I do want to eventually have a climbing pothos, but this one I'm very happy to leave trailing. It has lived in this cup, unfortunately, a little too long, as there are roots just circling around the bottom. So I do think it is time for a repot. I'm not sure what exactly I want to do with this, where I want to put it. It just lives in my cabinet back there for now, but I don't really have to solve that problem immediately. I can think about it. Maybe I'll put it on my shelf over there. Maybe it'll go on the shelf here. I don't know. It doesn't need to be in this cabinet anymore. Maybe it'll stay in there, but I want to put it somewhere where it's going to trail beautifully and be more of a plant that people notice when they come into the plant room. But I'm just so happy with it. It just looks so healthy. And I think there's nothing wrong with loving pothos. They're just so easygoing. People always ask me what is an easy plant, like family members, friends. I just want a nice easy plant for my office or whatever. I'm like, get a pothos, because they're so nice, so much fun. You can grow them in just about any medium. You can underwater them, you can overwater them, and they will forgive you. And I just want to celebrate a plant that looks really happy and healthy right now, and that's gonna be my pothos. What do you think? No? No thoughts? None. He loves the noodle beans that I grow outside in my garden, but when it comes to houseplants, he doesn't care. And I know that's one of the best things in a cat, is to not care about your houseplants. I just find it funny. Like, he'll play with plants outside, but in here he's like, no, I don't care at all. He's just such a good boy. Next, I have another Hoya, of course, and it is one that is actually growing really well right now, and I guess that's a little bit of a theme with these. I have plants that are growing and just showing signs of life after me neglecting them a little bit this month. That is going to be my Hoya Wilbur Grave Silver. It just put out these two, much bigger than the last set, silver leaves. They look gorgeous. I have said time and time again, I am obsessed with silver plants, especially Hoya. This plant really did nothing for a while. I also bought it at the Texas Aroid Show, but recently it's been on a little bit of a growth spurt. Last month I got this set of leaves. July I got this set. Maybe in August I'll get another set. I think it has also outgrown this little pole that it's come with, so maybe I will give it a trellis. I just got some trellises, so I just gotta decide which one, you know, should I give it a tall trellis, a circular trellis? I don't really know yet. I'm also loving the setup with this pot. I got it in Austin at East Austin Succulents, and I don't think I own any other square pots, but this is a vibe to me, so I don't want to ruin this vibe. I'm thinking I'll stick with a clear trellis just for the continuity of it, but I'm also thinking I might have to go back to Austin and get more of these square pots because it just works. It looks so good. It looks amazing in the cabinet. I feel like this is such a photogenic setup with this plant. So I'm overall really happy with it. I am also happy that I was able to get this at a very affordable price. To me, I was happy paying $60 for it. I know you can get cuttings for much cheaper now, but it was a bigger top cut growing plant when I got it. So I wasn't mad about paying that much for it. And any successful silver plant is just going to make me so in love because I cannot stress enough how much I love silver plants. This is my favorite Wilbur graves. I have 3 or 4 of them now, and this one is just top tier. I cannot get over just the beautiful full silver on the leaves. So you will probably see me showing this plant off multiple times in these monthly videos if it continues to actively grow like this, but I just can't get enough of it. All right, I'm at the 5th and final plant for the month of July, and it would not be at this point in my plant collecting this kind of video if I didn't include an Anthurium. So I decided to pick the Zara Michelle crossed with Doc Block F2 because it put out this massive, look at this leaf. This is beautiful. This is gorgeous, stunning. I love the slight purpley pink magenta color that's going on with the leaf. The emergent color is incredible. It does fade out to more of a green leaf, but this is still hardening off. So it is amazing. It is almost a perfect leaf. It did come in with a couple of rips here. I didn't touch it, so I don't know why that keeps happening because I've been very much on top of watering, fertilizing with my Anthurium. So I'm not really sure why that happened, but I still think it looks beautiful. The back of the leaf also is great. I mean, that color. If you could bottle that color up and make an eyeshadow, that would be amazing. I would be so into that. But this plant has especially been growing really well for me. I think I've only ever lost 1, maybe 2 leaves since I started growing it. I do have some browning. I don't care that much. The browning has been less since I have been more consistent with watering it, so that has been a plus. I did have to give it this stick for support because it gets a little wobbly. I feel like most Anthuriums do once they mature. I should eventually get a more photogenic or aesthetically pleasing support, but I don't mind it for now. This leaf is covering it up quite nicely anyway, so I am not mad about that. This leaf is so big. I was not expecting it. I thought 2 weeks ago it was done growing, and it just kept growing. It was just so nice, and it is a little round. I did not realize when these first leaves were coming out, they were more elongated, but as this plant has matured, it has changed shape a little bit. I don't really look at what the parent plants look like most of the time when I buy a hybrid, so I don't really know. I like the fun of just figuring it out as the plant matures. I think that is a lot of the fun of buying Anthurium as seedlings or smaller plants. This was not a seedling, but it was small. A lot of the fun is watching what they grow up into, what they turn into as they mature. This has been very round. I do think I prefer a more elongated Anthurium leaf to a round one, but I am not mad about this. I'm in love with the color. The sinus is a little close. I mean, it's not closed, it overlaps. I do prefer a wider sinus, I think, most of the time, but as long as it's not closed like a forgetty eye, I still think it's really cute. For me, the best part about this plant is the color of the emergent leaves, the color of the petioles. I also love the silver veins. Silver vein Anthurium is just so nice. So it does have a lot of positives. I don't want to rag on it too much just because it's a bit round and the sinus is a bit closed. But it is a beautiful plant. I have loved watching this leaf grow. I've loved watching this plant mature. and I'm hoping it'll just keep growing and being big and beautiful and happy, because I'm not gonna be mad about more leaves like this. So that is it for our 5 favorite plants for the month of July. What did you think about the ones that I've picked out? I am in love with all these plants. They're all gorgeous. I love them so much. I'm hoping that the mayari leaf is nice. If you have any tips about super slow growing Scindapsis, leave a comment below. I understand that they are slow growing in general. That is one of the upsides of Scindapsis for me personally. I don't like when all of my plants are the fastest growing, but I think 9 months before putting out your first leaf in my care is a little long. So if you've got any tips, just let me know. If you know a medium that Scindapsis might prefer, let me know. I think all my Scindapsis are in different medium right now. So whatever you think is best in your experience, I would love to hear about it. But if you like this video, make sure to give Nutmeg and I here a thumbs up down below and subscribe so you don't miss anything from us here on the channel. Thank you again for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.